You're planning game day and you have some friends coming over, you want a really easy appetizer, whether it's game day or I don't care when it is, this is just a fun thing to do, especially if you want to do it with the kids. We're going to dig into these and they will not last very long around my house. I'm sure they won't last long around your house. We're going to get the worst part out of the way. I have my whole oil heating up over here to 350 degrees. If you have a little deep fryer, that's much better, but be very careful using this on the stove. Monitor your temperature. We don't want a grease fire. So I have the onion. I'm going to just cut the top of it off. The stem end, not the root end. The root end's that fuzzy looking part there that looks like your uncle's hair right there. Don't cut that off. Cut the other end off because this is going to hold everything in place. And I'm going to just peel back that outer layer of skin. We'll come over here and I'm going to take my knife, chef's knife, and just cut off a very small piece there to flatten it. It gives us a flat edge. We can put it down and this thing's not going to roll around on us. And we're going to cut our onion rings. We want these to be very, very thin. Grab your chef's knife properly. Put your fingers down there as a guide. Just go down really, really thin, making those onion rings. Just be real careful doing this, don't get distracted. Now we're going to get down there toward the very end, and there's not going to be a lot to hold on to. And that's the reason we left that on there like that. I can now grab a hold of that and steady the onion. Just be very careful there. And I can get all the way down to that root end, just like that. Place these onions in a bowl. And we're going to soak those in buttermilk for about 15 minutes. Go ahead and break them apart. Be sure to do that. That gives you your onion ring right there. Be sure to always shake up buttermilk when you use it for any recipe. Shake it up real good. We're going to let this soak in that buttermilk for about 15 minutes. And we're going to come back and bread our onion rings. And while that's soaking, we're going to get on to the next phase. Alrighty, we have our simple ingredients. That's our self-rising flour right there. That's about 3 cups. And to that flour, we're going to add our ingredients. Our granulated onion, granulated garlic, a little bit of paprika according to taste. We're going to come over here and add salt. These are all about a tablespoon each, equal portions except on the paprika. Put all those in together. We have a little secret ingredient over here. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of cornstarch, and that's going to help give our onion rings a little crispier texture. We're going to mix all that together here, blend it up real nice. You can add more if you want to, whatever your taste is. I think this is going to work out about right for us. And these are not your everyday onion rings. These are really, really good, and they're great for game day, whatever casserole you want them to cook. So we'll set that aside for a second. Put a plate out in front of me there. And we'll take these onion rings and put a little bit of that flour up here. This is my wet hand and my dry hand. Very important when you're breading anything. You've seen that on my show before. So we're going to get those tossed really, really good. Just put them over there on that plate. These are great holiday appetizers or game day appetizers. And they're so easy to make and they're so fun to make and they're not going to last long. And the thing I like about them, they're so versatile. You can use them as an appetizer or you can use them as a topping on casserole. You can use them on salads, pizzas, hamburgers, whatever you want to do. The sky's the limit as to what you can do with these beautiful little onion rings. We're going to need a few things before we start frying these. First of all, we need a drain pan. So I just have a little aluminum pan, paper in the bottom to drain those onion rings into. And then you have to have some way to get these out of there. I like using this little scoop with a little netting on it. Or you can use a slotted spoon, whatever you happen to have around the house. But you will need some way to get those onion rings out of there. And I try to shake any excess off and just carefully drop those in, not all into one place. This is an important tip, because if you drop everything into one spot, they're all going to clump together, and that's not going to be very good. We can put a good many of these in here. We just don't want to watch we don't let it overflow or boil over. A lot of that bubbling is caused from the moisture that's on the onions, and it's not because it's so hot. It's just a lot of moisture coming out of those onions. See how they're getting nice and golden brown? They're looking really good, and they smell fabulous. You know, if you don't have a scoop like I have, you can actually probably maneuver these out with a fork, but it's not as easy. But I'm going to go ahead and use this. It's much quicker. Those look fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And regarding your oil, use a good quality vegetable or peanut oil. And if you're careful, and don't burn your oil, get it by getting it too hot. You can cool this oil down, strain it through a coffee filter, and then you can put it back in the jar and reuse it time and again. Oil is so expensive, so make certain you get a lot of life out of your oil. Your second batch may take a few minutes longer because the oil's probably cooled down a little bit unless you have a commercial fryer. So you just have to exercise patience and keep an eye on it. When they're golden brown, go ahead and pull them out. These have already crisped up really nicely, and I've tasted one. They're delicious. I don't need to add any more salt or seasoning to these. They're exactly perfect. Now, a key is if you add salt or seasoning to these after they're cooked, you want to do it right after they're cooked while they're still hot, because the seasoning will adhere to it much better. There you have it, our own homemade onion rings. We can use this for a multitude of things. I can put that on a steak, a salad, a hamburger, put it on top of a pizza, a casserole. But most of all, I like just keeping them like this on game day and have them as a nice little appetizer around the house. Thanks for watching today. I'm John Woods with All Things Food. Remember, this week, not only love to cook, but cook to love, and I'll see you next week. Subscribe to the channel and tell all your friends.